Do you need an office when you get started with your small business? Hi, I'm Dory. I am a small business owner. I own a creative business called Miracle Magnet Studios, and I'm documenting my journey and everything I've learned in the last 2 years since I'm building the business, and hoping I will be helping a lot of entrepreneurs who are starting or also in similar situations than myself, of trying to build a business from no resources and no money. One of the biggest questions at the start of a small company always comes from office. Do you need an office? Can you work from home? Is that an expense that you should be factoring in? Should you pay for that? What a difference it will make in your business. So how it worked for me, that I am at the moment, is I'm in my office. So yes, I do have an office, but I have to say I didn't start out in an office. So I only rented this place 18 months in my business. And I tell you my journey, it probably varies for a lot of people, but I would say at the very beginning, you can really get started from home. Unless you have a business type, when you really have to do a lot of client facing meetings in person at your office, you can't go to their offices, then it's definitely something that you will need to look at from the get-go, because it's very important then in that case that they see you as a professional. They won't care when you started, was it the day before or a month before. They will wanna come to your office to have that particular meeting. In my business, I didn't really have to meet clients to that extent, because I am running a creative business where we are offering photography, videography, social media marketing services, and all sorts of creative services. Can it be creative strategy, posting, running clients, social media accounts? Even at the beginning, when I wasn't entirely sure how my business is going to shape in the services area, in creative services area, I didn't really need an office to start with. So that was a great thing because it really kept my costs low. When you have to have an office, it's a major investment, because a lot of offices, when you will be renting them, they will require to have a deposit paid, or even some cases you will have to pay your office 2-3 months in advance. You will have to sign a contract that is most of the time to a minimum of 6 months to a year. So it's a major commitment in money. I'm not saying that you cannot find co-working spaces, but it's definitely something that you will have to consider from the beginning. So when you have a small business and that requires an office or in-person meetings, but you don't have the money to support that, you really will have to start like thinking other ways. What could that be? Potentially, can you rent an office for a day? Can you rent an office for very short notice when the client wants to meet you? Are you able to actually have those meetings at your client's office rather than yours? So I would suggest, when you get started and you don't know how your business is going to shape up, try to avoid having an office, because it's a massive commitment. And at that point, because you are a small business trying to build everything from nothing, you potentially don't have a team. So it's a major cost that you will have to have on your books without any revenue or sales coming in to cover those costs. What I did in my business, but that's totally just my journey. So I'm just sharing my experience. I, even to this day, could go on and not rent an office. So I could even carry on 2, 3, multiple years of not having an office. The reason I have an office at the moment is because I want that separation from work to then go back to my apartment. What I found when I was working from my apartment, from my living room, is there was no separation. I am obsessed with my company. I'm obsessed with everything that I'm building. So essentially, I want it to be on building mode 24/7. And then because it was in my living room, I just literally had the lunch breaks or breakfast, dinner, for basically breaks for food or like essentials, and then back to work, back to work. And I was never able to have downtime at all. So for me, that was the main reason to have an office that like I have to leave and I have to go back to my apartment to have what work and then personal life is. With being a small business owner, the separation still in just coming up to year 2 between personal life and work life, even with an office, is really, really narrow and almost non existent. However, for your mind, and then just even that, just kind of you have to close the door and then go out. For me, it was very, very important. Plus, the area I live in, I actually managed to find an office that was extremely cheap. So, this office that you see here is actually furnished with my own living room furniture. As I mentioned in previous videos, I sold my flat and then now I'm living in like temporary accommodation. Therefore, all my furniture and everything from my flat is still available. So that's what's in my office at the moment. But it really suits me because I don't want a corporate office. So even when I was thinking that I should have an office, I didn't want one that looks like what Disney offices looked like or Prime Video offices looked like. I didn't want to get into any of that. And then luckily, I found an office in my area, which is a creative hub, and pretty much every business in this office compound are creative businesses. So it's not only an office, but also a networking opportunity, which I found that potentially at co-working spaces wouldn't be the case. So I'm really happy with this choice, but it's definitely a cost that I could not have afford at the very beginning of the start of my business. That's why I changed around 18 months and made this business decision. Plus, that's when the actual opportunity for this site came up. But I would say this is something of a major decision on your end because an office cost at the beginning could be a make or break of your business. That cost is something that you could be earning and taking away yourself or could be spending on elsewhere. Equipment, staffing, outsourcing certain tasks that you don't want to do. So I would say if you can avoid the office, only do it later on. Or if you are a business owner who actually looking for funding later on, then make it part of your funding pitch. You are a business owner starting from very small amount of money or no investment, but you know within a year or 2 years you will have funding coming in or investors coming into your business, then again leave the office cost there. But overall, long term, to have a office address, I now see from clients' point of view, even though they never come, like honestly, none of my clients ever came to my office, but them seeing there's an address and when we are on calls, they seeing me dialing from my office, it does make a difference and they really do feel like then you are proper professional corporation, you are a proper professional organization who are thinking big rather than a operation from your bedroom. So that's definitely making a case for the office, but cost wise you really have to be careful because of the commitments and the long term contracts that you will need to sign for an office. I know you can work from coffee shops and any of that I never found useful for myself because I need to edit on the creative work. It's just too distracting. And co-working spaces also somehow I just found like for me just was the same corporate environment that I was trying to avoid. So for me this is a very winning formula, but it's all depends on you. So if you are in a similar situation and then you're starting out with your business and at the moment thinking, should I not get an office? Please do send your questions. I would be happily have a chat. And I really hope that you like these videos, you find them helpful. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I see you on the next video.